Welcome back to my channel. Today we explore the value of specific coins, the most valuable Lincoln Old Wheat Penny coins value and market in dollar. So let's get started.
First up today, we're going to take a close look at one of the most classic coins in American history, the 1942 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark. Even if your coin is scratched, bent, or damaged, it can still hold value and capture the attention of collectors. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it quickly became one of the most widely used coins in circulation. The coin features Lincoln's profile on the front, and the back has two wheat stalks surrounding the denomination, which is why it is commonly called a wheat penny. The 1942 penny was minted during a significant period in history, in the midst of World War II. Coins like these were part of everyday life, used for purchases, transportation, and savings. Millions of pennies were produced that year at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why the coin does not have a mint mark. While it may seem common, collectors still seek this coin because it represents a piece of American history, and the age alone gives it value. Even if your 1942 penny shows heavy wear, scratches, or corrosion, it is not necessarily worthless. Damaged coins are often considered low-grade in numismatic terms, but many collectors still find them interesting. Coins in poor condition are typically graded as good or fair, depending on how legible the date and features remain. For the 1942 penny, even if the wheat stalks on the reverse are mostly worn away and Lincoln's face is faint, the coin still carries historical value and can attract buyers who are looking to complete a collection or who simply appreciate vintage coins. When it comes to value, a 1942 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in damaged condition is generally worth between 20 cents and $1.50 in today's market. The low end of the range reflects coins that are heavily worn, scratched, or corroded. These coins are still collectible, especially for those just starting a coin collection, or for those who want an example of a historical penny without paying for a higher-grade specimen. Coins that are in slightly better condition, with visible details of Lincoln's profile or the wheat stalks on the back, may reach up to $5, but most heavily damaged coins remain in the lower range. It is important to note that certain factors can increase the value of a damaged coin. For instance, errors in the striking process, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual markings, can make even a scratched coin more valuable. Collectors often pay extra for unique characteristics, even if the coin is not in perfect shape. Additionally, coins that have remained mostly intact without excessive bending or corrosion tend to fetch higher prices than those that are severely damaged. While a heavily scratched coin might not bring hundreds of dollars, it could still be a meaningful addition to a collection, especially for historical context or for teaching others about coin history. If you find a 1942 penny in your change, it's always worth examining carefully before deciding its value. Check the date and ensure there is no mint mark, indicating it came from Philadelphia. Look closely at Lincoln's profile and the wheat stalks to see how much detail remains. Even subtle details like the outline of Lincoln's cheek or jawline can increase interest among collectors. Additionally, check for any unusual features or errors, which could add extra value. Coins can be compared with online price guides or recent auction sales to get a better idea of their current market value. Sharing photos with coin collector communities online can also help in estimating the coin's worth.
Next up, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, a coin that carries both historical importance and everyday collector appeal. Even though this example is in good condition with some visible scratches, it is still a meaningful and collectible coin for anyone interested in classic American coins. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series is one of the most widely collected series in United States numismatics, and coins from the 1940s have a special place because they connect us to the era of World War II and everyday life in mid-20th century America. A 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this time, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on pennies, so the absence of a letter under the date tells us its place of origin. In 1944, the United States had returned to using a copper alloy for pennies after the wartime steel cents of 1943. Copper was once again available, largely because surplus shell casings from the war were recycled for coinage. As a result, hundreds of millions of 1944 pennies were produced at Philadelphia and other mints, and coins from this year remain common in collections and circulation finds today. The metal composition of the 1944 wheat penny is primarily copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. Over time, copper pennies naturally develop a brown color from circulation and environmental exposure. Scratches, surface marks, and light discoloration are typical for coins that were used in everyday transactions for many years. When a coin is described as being in good condition, it generally means that the major design features are still visible, but there is noticeable wear and flattening on the high points of the design. Good condition coins often show wear on Lincoln's cheek, hair, and shoulder, and the wheat stalks on the reverse may be worn but still identifiable. Now let's talk about value in today's auction market. A 1944 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, in good condition with some scratches, typically sells for around 10 cents to 50 cents in today's market. Most individual pieces in this condition are worth only a small amount above face value because so many were produced and many survive in circulated grades. Coins with heavier scratches, dark spots, or unattractive surfaces often settle toward the lower part of this price range. On the other hand, coins with more even color, pleasing brown toning, and a clearer strike may attract bidders closer to the higher end. It's important to understand that for common-date Lincoln pennies like this one, the market places a premium on condition. Higher-grade coins, such as those in fine, very fine, or uncirculated grades, command noticeably higher prices. But in good condition, especially with visible scratches, a 1944 penny is valued mostly for its history and as a collectible piece rather than as a high-value investment. Collectors who focus on wheat penny sets often include coins like the 1944 no mint mark penny because it completes that year in the series. Even though this date is common, having it in a condition that shows clear details in a readable date is important for set completion. Many collectors also enjoy the stories these coins tell, the way they passed through hands during decades of use, the slight imperfections they carry, and the physical connection they provide to the past. Color also plays a role in value and appeal. Most circulated 1944 pennies are classified as brown, which is the most common and least valuable color type for this date. Some coins retain hints of red or red-brown color, which usually appear only in higher grade or less circulated examples, and these colors can add some price premium. Since our coin is in good condition with some scratches, it will most likely be brown, which is typical and expected for a coin of this age and circulation history. It's also important for collectors to avoid cleaning coins with abrasives or chemicals, as cleaning can damage the original surface and significantly reduce the coin's collectible value. Even though scratches and wear are part of a circulated coin's history, cleaning can leave unnatural marks and change how light reflects on the metal, which is unattractive to most buyers and collectors.
Next up, the 1918 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark. Even if your coin is dirty, scratched, or heavily worn, this coin was struck over 100 years ago at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it does not have a mint mark. The absence of a mint mark simply tells us that it came from the main mint in Philadelphia, unlike coins minted in Denver or San Francisco, which carry a D or S mark. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series is one of the most popular and beloved among collectors, first introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was produced until 1958, and its design, featuring Lincoln's profile on the front and two wheat stalks on the back, has become iconic. The 1918 penny is particularly significant because it was minted during the final year of World War I, a time when pennies were an essential part of everyday life. People used them for purchases, transportation, and savings, and millions were minted that year at the Philadelphia Mint. Even though it is a common date, its age and historical context make it interesting to collectors, especially for those looking to complete a set of Lincoln wheat pennies. Even if the coin is scratched or bent or covered in dirt and grime, it can still have value. Over the past century, pennies like this one have been circulated extensively, which means wear, scratches, and surface damage are common. In numismatic terms, coins that show heavy wear and scratches are often considered low-grade or circulated, but that does not make them worthless. Collectors who are looking to complete a collection or who enjoy owning a piece of history often purchase coins in this condition. The most important details to look for are the legibility of the date, the outline of Lincoln's profile, and the presence of the wheat stalks on the reverse side. Even if these details are faint, the coin still carries historical and collectible value. When it comes to market value, a 1918 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, in dirty or heavily scratched condition, typically sells for between 15 cents and around 75 cents. The exact value depends on how worn or damaged the coin is. Heavily scratched or bent coins that are barely legible are usually worth closer to the lower end of that range, while coins that retain more detail may fetch slightly higher prices, sometimes approaching $1 or $2 if the date and major features are visible. Millions of 1918 pennies were minted, so they are relatively common, and most low-grade coins remain inexpensive. However, even ordinary coins are collectible simply because they are over a century old and are a tangible connection to the past. The value of a damaged coin can increase if it has unique features or errors. Coins with double dies, off-center strikes, or other unusual minting errors can attract higher prices, even if they are scratched or worn. However, the vast majority of 1918 pennies are ordinary and do not have these rare features, which means their market value remains modest. Collectors also pay attention to the color of the coin. Original copper color, especially a red or brown hue, can enhance a coin's appeal, while coins that have turned completely brown, green, or corroded tend to be less desirable. In most dirty or heavily scratched coins, the original color is often lost, which places them in the lowest value category. Despite these limitations, the 1918 wheat penny remains a fascinating coin to collect. Its age, design, and historical significance make it an attractive item for anyone interested in American history or numismatics. Even a scratched and dirty coin has a story to tell and represents a tangible piece of the past. While heavily worn coins do not fetch high prices, they are often purchased by beginners, collectors completing a set, or enthusiasts who appreciate the historical value over monetary worth. Every coin carries a journey of circulation, from pocket change to today's collection, and even coins in poor condition can be appreciated for the role they played in everyday life over a century ago.
Next up, the 1946 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark, a coin that carries decades of everyday use and a story that spans generations. This particular example is in fine condition with some scratches, which means it is clearly circulated, but still retains recognizable details and collector interest. Coins like this connect us to the past and remind us how coins were once part of routine transactions and daily life. A 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark tells us that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The small letter D below the date identifies its origin. During the mid-1940s, Denver was a major producer of Lincoln cents, supplying millions of pennies for circulation across the country. While the 1946 wheat penny with D mint mark is not considered rare in terms of mintage numbers, its value comes from condition, eye appeal, and overall collector demand. The metal composition of the 1946 wheat penny is mostly copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. After World War II ended, the U.S. Mint returned to its standard copper alloy for pennies, making 1946 a transitional year into post-war everyday coinage. Over the decades, copper pennies naturally develop a brown color from oxidation and handling. A coin that has been in circulation for years will often show surface marks, contact wear, and minor scratches, which are expected and part of its individual story. When a coin is described as being in fine condition, it means the coin has clear, recognizable details, though there is noticeable wear.
Lincoln's portrait on the obverse will show flattening on the highest points, like the cheek and hair, but the overall shape and major features remain visible. The date and mottos, including "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," are readable, although they may lack sharpness. On the reverse, the wheat stalks will be worn but distinguishable, and 1 cent remains clear. The scratches on the surface are typically light and consistent with years of use, rather than damage from cleaning or harsh handling. Now let's talk about value in today's auction and collector market. A 1946 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark in fine condition with some scratches generally sells for around 20 cents to $1 in today's market. Most coins in this grade fall within this range because so many were produced and survived in circulated condition. Coins that show more attractive coloration, fewer distracting marks, and better eye appeal may draw interest closer to the higher end of this range. Conversely, coins with heavier scratches or dull surfaces may sell closer to the lower end. It is important to understand that for common-date Lincoln Wheat pennies like the 1946 D, condition matters most in determining value. A coin in lower grades like good or fair may be valued mainly for its historical interest rather than monetary value. Meanwhile, coins in higher circulated grades like fine or very fine show stronger details and are more interesting to collectors who want coins that tell a clearer visual story. Uncirculated or high-grade examples of the same date can be worth significantly more, but for most circulated pieces, the market places emphasis on how much design detail remains and how pleasing the coin looks overall. Collectors often use Lincoln Wheat pennies like this one in date and mint mark sets, teaching collections, and everyday coin boards. They are accessible entry points into coin collecting, offering a tangible connection to U.S. history without a high price tag. A 1946 D in fine condition with some scratches is a great example of a coin that is accessible to beginners while still desirable to more experienced collectors who appreciate condition and story. Color and surface quality also play a role in value. Most circulated 1946 pennies are brown, which is expected and typical for their age. Some coins display hints of red or red-brown toning, which usually brings a small premium when present. However, coins that have been cleaned, polished, or harshly treated often lose value because cleaning can remove original surfaces and leave unnatural marks that serious collectors avoid.
Next up today, we are taking a closer look at the 1938 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark. And even though this coin may have some scratches, it is considered to be in extra fine condition. This makes it an interesting and collectible piece of American history. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series, produced from 1909 to 1958, features Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the back, which is why it is commonly referred to as a wheat penny. The 1938 penny was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark. During that year, millions of pennies were produced, and this coin circulated widely in everyday transactions. Despite its age, finding a 1938 penny in extra fine condition is relatively uncommon, as most coins from that period show considerable wear due to circulation. Extra fine condition means that the coin has only light wear on the highest points of the design. The details of Lincoln's face, hair, and clothing are still visible, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are mostly sharp with only minor signs of wear. Some scratches or small surface marks are normal, even on coins that are otherwise well preserved. Collectors often consider coins in extra fine condition to be among the most desirable for their balance of quality and affordability. While uncirculated coins are more expensive, extra fine coins offer a chance to own a piece of history without paying premium prices. The 1938 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a common date, but its extra fine condition gives it added value. Most coins from 1938 are found in good or very good condition, so seeing one that retains much of its original detail is a reason for collectors to take notice.
Even minor scratches do not significantly reduce the coin's appeal as long as the main features of the coin are still clearly visible. The advantage of owning a 1938 wheat penny in extra fine condition is that it provides a tangible link to history. This coin circulated during the late 1930s, a period of economic recovery and social change in the United States. Holding a coin like this allows collectors to connect with the daily life of people who used pennies to purchase goods, pay for transit, or save small amounts over time. Coins like this also serve as an introduction to numismatics for new collectors, offering an accessible way to start building a set without investing in the higher-cost rarities.
Next up, the 1947 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark, a coin that represents both everyday life in post-World War II America and a beloved collectible for coin enthusiasts. This particular example is in extra fine condition, with some minor scratches, a condition that reflects years of genuine circulation while still preserving strong design details. Coins like this are meaningful not just for their value, but for the story they carry from nearly 8 decades ago. A 1947 Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark tells us that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the key mints in the United States. The small D beneath the date identifies its origin. Denver produced millions of pennies in this era to meet the needs of a growing post-war economy. While the 1947 wheat penny is not considered rare, it remains an essential coin in every date and mint mark set, and coins in higher grades can still attract collector interest. The metal composition of the 1947 wheat penny is primarily a copper alloy, with tin and zinc added for strength. Over decades of use, most pennies naturally develop a brown color due to oxidation and handling. Some coins retain hints of original reddish tones, while others become more uniform brown or dark brown. Light scratches, small nicks, and minor surface marks are common on circulated coins, and usually expected, especially for coins that have been in circulation for many years. When a coin is described as being in extra fine condition, it means that while the coin has seen circulation, most of the major design details are still strong and easily visible. On this 1947 D penny, Lincoln's facial features, hair detail, and jacket lines show moderate wear but remain clear. You can still read the date and mottos distinctly. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are mostly complete, with only the highest points flattened from use. The scratches on the surface are light and consistent with age and handling rather than damage, which helps maintain the coin's overall appeal. Now let's talk about value in today's auction and collector market. A 1947 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark in extra fine condition with some scratches typically sells for around $2 to $6 in today's auction market. The exact price can vary depending on eye appeal, toning, strike quality, and how the scratches affect the overall presentation. Coins with more attractive natural toning and fewer distracting marks tend to sell toward the higher end of this range. Coins with less appealing surfaces or heavier abrasions may settle toward the lower end. It is important to understand that the 1947 D wheat penny is common in terms of mintage, but collectors still value well-preserved examples because condition matters greatly in determining market price. Even in circulated grades like extra fine, coins that show balanced wear and good surface quality are more appealing than coins that are heavily worn or damaged. Collectors who build date and mint mark sets often look for coins like this because they strike a balance between affordability and visual appeal. Color and toning also influence value. Most circulated pennies from this era are brown, which is the standard classification and the most common. Some coins retain a red-brown hue, which usually appears more on lightly circulated or better preserved examples. While a 1947 penny in extra fine condition with a touch of original color can command a small premium, coins with uniform mauve-brown surfaces remain steady in collector demand due to their classic appearance. Collectors should handle coins carefully and avoid cleaning them with harsh chemicals or abrasives.
Cleaning can remove the natural surface and patina, making a coin less attractive to collectors and reducing its market value. Instead, coins should be stored in protective flips or holders to preserve their current condition and prevent further wear or environmental damage. Even with some scratches, original surfaces often hold more value than cleaned or altered coins.
Next up, the 1926 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark is a classic U.S. coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, as indicated by the absence of a mint mark below the date. It belongs to the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent on the reverse. Coins from the 1920s are popular with collectors because they reflect a period of post-World War I growth and social change in the United States, and they carry the charm of nearly a century of circulation history. The 1926 Lincoln cent was minted in the traditional bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin in zinc. When newly struck, it had a bright red color, but most surviving examples today have toned to red-brown or brown due to age and circulation. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 177 million Lincoln cents in 1926, making it a moderately common date. However, condition and eye appeal remain critical factors for collectors, as coins in better condition are far more desirable. Your coin is described as being in fine condition with some scratches, which indicates moderate circulation wear. Lincoln's facial features are worn but still identifiable, and the outline of his coat and hair is present. The date and lettering remain readable, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are visible, though much of the finer detail is smoothed by circulation. Scratches slightly reduce the eye appeal and collector value, but even in fine condition, this coin remains an interesting example from the 1920s. In today's market, a 1926 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in fine condition generally has a value of around $25 to $50 USD. Coins with more attractive color or fewer surface marks may sell for slightly higher, around 50 cents to 75 cents, while examples in very fine or extra fine condition are worth more, typically ranging from 75 cents to $2. Because your coin has scratches, its realistic market value would likely fall toward the lower end of the fine range, approximately 25 to 40 cents. Despite its modest monetary value, the 1926 Wheat Penny carries historical significance. It circulated during the Roaring '20s, a period of economic growth and social transformation in the United States. Pennies from this era were used in daily commerce, passing through countless hands and witnessing ordinary American life nearly a century ago. Each mark and scratch on the coin adds to its story, giving it character and historical context that goes beyond its dollar value. Proper care is important to maintain the coin's remaining value. Cleaning or polishing is not recommended, as it can damage the surface and reduce collector interest. The best way to preserve it is to store the coin in a protective coin flip or holder in a dry environment to prevent additional wear or corrosion. Even circulated coins benefit from careful handling and proper storage. First up, the 1935 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, a coin that represents an important period in American history and remains popular among collectors. Even though this example shows some light scratches, it is in extra fine condition, meaning that the design details are strong and the coin still retains much of its original detail. Coins like this attract both new and experienced collectors because they balance historical interest, condition, and affordability. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series was first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure on the front, and it quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in American numismatics. The obverse shows Lincoln's portrait, strong and dignified, while the reverse features two stylized wheat stalks embracing the denomination, symbolizing prosperity and agriculture.
The series continued until 1958 and along the way became one of the most widely collected coin types in U.S. history. A 1935 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark means this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this era, Philadelphia coins did not carry a letter below the date, unlike pennies from the Denver or San Francisco mints that bore a D or S mint mark. In 1935, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of wheat pennies, making this coin relatively common compared to some low mintage dates. Despite its common origin, the 1935 penny is still a meaningful and collectible piece, particularly when found in higher grades like extra fine. The metal composition of the 1935 wheat penny is mostly copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. Over decades of circulation, the copper surface develops a natural brown or reddish-brown color. This toning is often pleasing to collectors, even when there are some light scratches. A coin in extra fine condition shows only moderate wear on the highest points of the design, but retains strong details overall. The presence of scratches does not necessarily diminish its collectible appeal if the surfaces are still original and not heavily damaged. In extra fine condition, a 1935 wheat penny displays defined features on Lincoln's portraits, and the hairlines and facial contours remain visible with only slight flattening. The lettering around the rim, including the date and motto, "In God We Trust," appears clear and readable. On the reverse, the wheat stalks show most of their parallel lines, and the word 1 cent sits boldly between them. Some light scratches may be visible, often from years of circulation, but they don't overwhelm the design or distract too much from the overall appearance. Now let's talk about the value of this coin in today's auction market. A 1935 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark in extra fine condition with some scratches typically sells for around $5 to $10 in today's auction market. Coins that have more attractive toning and fewer blemishes may reach toward the higher end of that range, while those with heavier surface marks or unattractive color might sell closer to the lower end. Because this coin was produced in large numbers, it is not considered rare, but collectors still place value on condition and eye appeal. It is important to understand that the American coin market relies heavily on condition and eye appeal, especially for common date coins. A wheat penny with strong detail, even in circulated grades like extra fine, is worth much more than a heavily worn or damaged coin. Collectors often prefer original surfaces with natural circulation wear rather than coins that have been harshly cleaned or altered. Cleaning coins can remove the original surface metal and reduce collector appeal, ultimately lowering the market value. Coins like the 1935 wheat penny are frequently included in date set collections, educational collections, and beginner collections. They allow new collectors to own classic pieces of numismatic history without a large investment. Many collectors enjoy filling in date boards or albums with coins like this because they represent everyday money that was used by Americans during the Great Depression. In that context, each coin becomes a small historical artifact, connecting us to the people and places of the past. Collectors should also consider the role of toning and color when valuing wheat pennies. A pleasing reddish-brown or even chocolate-brown surface can enhance a coin's desirability, even if light scratches are present. The key is that the scratches come from circulation and normal use, rather than from cleaning or abuse. Coins with original, untouched surfaces, showing only natural wear, tend to perform best in auctions and private sales.
Next up, the 1955 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with D mint mark is a classic mid-20th century U.S. coin struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D below the date. It is part of the long-running Lincoln Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks framing the denomination on the reverse. Coins from the 1950s are popular with collectors because they represent the post-World War II era, when the United States experienced economic growth, social change, and widespread coin circulation.
The 1955 Lincoln cent was minted in the standard bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. When first struck, it had a bright reddish-brown color, which has naturally toned over the years to various shades of brown, depending on circulation and storage. The Denver Mint produced approximately 314 million Lincoln cents in 1955, making it a fairly common date, but coins in higher grades or with well-preserved details are still desirable for collectors. Your coin is described as being in very fine condition, with some scratches, which indicates light to moderate circulation wear. In very fine condition, Lincoln's facial features, hair, and coat remain clearly visible, though some flattening occurs on the highest points. The date and mint mark are bold and easy to read, and the wheat stalks on the reverse still retain much of their original detail. The scratches slightly reduce the coin's aesthetic appeal, but do not eliminate its collector value, especially in a higher-grade example from the 1950s. In today's market, a 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D mint mark in very fine condition with some scratches generally has a value of around 20 to 40 cents USD. Coins with more attractive surfaces or fewer scratches may sell for slightly higher, possibly reaching 50 cents. Coins in extra fine condition could fetch 50 cents to $1, while uncirculated or high-grade specimens can be worth several dollars. Because your coin has some scratches, its realistic market value would likely fall toward the lower end of the very fine range, around 20 to 30 cents. Despite being a common date, the 1955 D Wheat Penny holds historical interest. It circulated widely during a period of prosperity and everyday economic activity, and pennies like this were used in countless transactions. Each mark or scratch on the coin reflects decades of real-world use, giving it a tangible connection to mid-20th century America. Proper care is essential to preserve the coin's remaining value. Cleaning or polishing is discouraged, as it can damage the surface and reduce collector appeal. The coin should be stored in a protective coin flip or holder, kept in a dry environment to prevent corrosion or further wear. Proper handling ensures that the coin maintains both its physical condition and historical significance. In summary, your 1955 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D mint mark in very fine condition with some scratches has a current market value of approximately 20 to 40 cents USD, likely around 20 to 30 cents given the surface marks. While its monetary value is modest, it remains a meaningful collectible and a tangible piece of American history, reflecting the enduring legacy of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series in mid-20th century everyday life.
Next up today, we are going to take a close and detailed look at a classic piece of American numismatic history, the 1950 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny without mint mark. This coin, even in good condition with some scratches, remains a meaningful collectible that connects us to life in mid-20th century America. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most familiar and widely collected coin series in United States history, and the 1950 issue continues that legacy with both historical significance and everyday collector appeal. A 1950 wheat penny without a mint mark indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a letter under the date during this time. Throughout the mid-20th century, Philadelphia was one of the primary mints producing Lincoln cents for everyday circulation, and 1950 was no exception. Millions of wheat pennies were struck that year, meaning the coin is common in terms of surviving population. Despite this, collectors still value coins from this era because they represent everyday currency that changed hands for decades. The metal composition of the 1950 wheat penny is primarily copper with small amounts of tin and zinc.
After World War II, the U.S. Mint returned to its standard copper alloy for pennies, making coins from the late 1940s and early 1950s both durable and attractive in appearance. Over years of circulation, these coins often develop a natural brown color from oxidation in everyday use. A coin that has spent time in circulation will show lighter tones, contact marks from handling, and sometimes small scratches, all of which add to its individual history. When a coin is described as being in good condition, it means that it has noticeable wear from circulation but retains recognizable design elements. On this 1950 wheat penny, Lincoln's portrait remains clear, his profile still identifiable even though the cheek and hair details are worn. The date and motto, "In God We Trust," are still readable, though the letters are softened with wear. On the reverse, the wheat stalks show significant wear, but the outline of the design is still present. Small scratches and surface marks are typical on coins that circulated for many years, and while they affect eye appeal, they don't erase the coin's collectible value. Now let's talk about value in today's auction and collector market. A 1950 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in good condition with some scratches generally sells for around 10 cents to 50 cents in today's market. Most examples in this grade fall within this range because so many were produced and many survive in circulation. Coins that have slightly more attractive color or fewer distracting marks may be valued closer to the higher end, while coins with heavier scratches or dull surfaces may be worth nearer to the lower end. It's important to understand that for common date wheat pennies like the 1950 issue, condition matters most in determining value. While older or rarer dates can command significant premiums, coins from the mid-20th century are typically valued based on how well they have retained detail and eye appeal. A coin in good condition, with light wear and minor marks, can still be a desirable piece for collectors building date and typesets or doing educational collections. Collectors who focus on Lincoln Wheat Penny sets often include examples like the 1950 no mint mark penny to complete the series chronology. Even though this date is common, having a well-preserved example, one that still shows the main features of the design, is important for set completion. These coins also offer a physical link to everyday life in post-war America, when pennies were widely used for routine purchases and daily commerce. Color and surface quality also play a role in buyer interest. Most circulated 1950 wheat pennies are classified as brown, which is the standard for coins that have aged naturally from handling and exposure. Some coins display hints of red or red-brown tone, generally found only on lightly circulated pieces, and these coins may bring a small premium if they are attractive. However, coins in good circulated condition with typical brown color remain solid entries into collections. Collectors are also cautioned not to clean their coins aggressively. Cleaning can remove the original surface and natural toning, leaving the coin with unnatural marks and reduced collector value. Original, uncleaned surfaces with light circulation wear are generally preferred over cleaned or altered coins, even if they have some scratches.